Have you ever had this thought, if I get one more app, one more tool, my business, my work, it's finally gonna calm down? Yeah, that's a trap. In this part 2 of part 3 with my interview with Alex, we tell you why that does not work. In this episode, Alex shows why buying tools doesn't fix the mess. It actually can make the mess worse. Stuff ends up in different places and nobody knows what's going on. We also talk about the real enemy: stress, confusion. When you feel rushed, you make fast choices. Things can break, you can lose things. And here's the best part: we'll show you how to talk about your work in a simple way so people don't get lost and they can actually say yes and use what you build. Let's jump into part 2.
So
Yeah.
with like as you think about the people you're serving and working with, what would you say
Mm.
is what would you say are maybe one or two of the common threads of needs that
Yeah.
your customers and clients
So I
have?
tell you specifically one, and then I try to go a little bit back and hopefully
Okay.
bring the cycle back to you. But the most common thread, especially for these medium-sized businesses or an individual person itself,
Hmm.
is what we see, what technology can do for us.
Hmm.
We all fall, or most of our customers and leads we talk to, fall into the trap of just searching for tools. So, like the
Hmm.
idea that I actually optimize my business, simplify my business,
Hmm.
create a happy workspace is simply by doing not just researching for a few hours
Right.
and go through like all the off-the-shelf tools.
Hmm.
Even it's like the more classic like Monday.coms, or it's like now more some fancy AI, some tools, right? It's like I look for tools. I don't actually think about the process of my business. I don't
Right.
think about what I reach, what's my goal and purpose here. I'm just looking for tools. I'm trying something out, looks nice. I bring it there, and then I notice, oh, now here's data break. This actually doesn't work. Now
Hmm.
this person doesn't have it. We're creating more data silos in our company,
Yeah.
and I think that's the common thread. And I give all the credit here to Aurora, my co-founder. This idea of thinking in systems, and
Mm.
systems is very widely used word
Yes.
nowadays because you can really use it everywhere. And of course, even when you're in your private life, like what's your system going to the gym right now? What's your system of eating? It's
Right.
all of this. You can actually build systems, which doesn't mean that you need technology. It's just like
Mm.
you have an idea,
Hmm.
right? You go for a process of
Yeah.
understanding what you need. How should it look like? You map it out in a way, you write
Yeah.
it down somewhere. And that's something we all fall into. Like
Hmm.
sometimes what we see, we have to go with our customer even on this personal level of like this mindset of
Hmm.
what is a system? How do you even manage your own life? And why does this work? How can you bring this also in your business? It's
Yeah.
all a bit connected
Mm.
of how you work, because I can build you the most amazing custom task manager you ever had.
Right.
But if you don't think like this, you will not use it. It will
Right.
still get like a system not used, doesn't bring anything.
Mm.
And so coming back to this, what we see, the threat is they just search for tools and they think they can do it all on themselves.
Mm.
And it's a newer space. Some other parts took longer. That it's okay to have here a coach or something in
Yeah.
this area where we are right now. I think it's very important to see that you need someone who guides you through a process and doesn't talk only about technology
Right.
right ahead. He goes really actually to the more important stuff,
Hmm.
which also is boring stuff, right? Sometimes talking about data, maybe talking about companies here in
Yeah.
your personal life, maybe not so important, but data as a business, very
Hmm.
important.
Yeah.
And understanding the idea about like an organization should function itself. It's worth something on its own. It's not only the weak people have to work in the
Yeah.
system, in the organization.
Yeah.
And so that's what we go through. And I mean, fun fact here, that also means for some client app developers out there or other agencies, yes, sometimes even we set up email filters, right? Like if the customer is here at this step, and we have to also go there and we have to show him how to set up an email filter, how to
Hmm.
use a keyboard shortcut, because this can maybe save him 2 hours a week. And our automation can too, but we have to show
Right.
him both if we want him getting there to this happier workspace. It's not
Yeah.
only about what technology can do, it's also basic stuff what we need
Hmm.
to teach or what we want to teach
Yeah.
to get them to this
Yeah.
point.
And one of the fears I was working with a larger organization years ago, and it just felt like there was always technology changes. Like, oh, we're going to use this, we're
Mm,
going to use that. And they had like multiple departments and divisions. Oh, well, we use this, and oh, well, we use that. And you mentioned data silos, especially for large
yeah,
organizations, but we overlook that for small to medium sized businesses too. It's like, oh, that's my marketing
yeah,
team. Like the marketing team handles that, or finance does this. And all these separate pieces, like if it was a system, like this would happen here in marketing and finance would get the notification that they need. And it's just like the
Yeah.
simplicity rather than, oh, trying to do all these extra meetings, trying to build out these
Mm,
reports and dashboards and like doing extra work about work. When if you have the right conversation with the right solutions designer, that's kind of what I would like identify as more than like a glide builder or a workflow
mm,
designer. It's like we build solutions.
I agree. Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
and so, or problem solver. And
Mm,
it kind of puts it outside of the technology box that workflow design and automation specialist kind of fits in because like, hey, I help solve your problem so that you can have freedom.
yeah.
Where? What do you mean? Like, let's talk about, oh, and you have those deeper conversations to get to really the heart and the core of what they need. I love how you help kind of uncover beyond the technology. It's like the technology is
Mm,
just the UI, what you see on the front, but what's really happening in the background, and let's talk about that because it gets so overlooked so often. Okay, so I like this.
definitely.
This is an interesting question. If you were to look at the work that you do
Hmm.
and you were to imagine it was like a movie or a story, what would be the villain that your business helps people
The
overcome?
villain that our customers are trying to overcome.
That you help, so you're like the guide, like you are the Gandalf to Frodo.
Yeah,
You help them
yeah.
overcome this villain. What would that villain be?
Um, so this villain looks somehow as a mix, I guess, between someone who is stress,
Mm,
and it's unknown. So every time you don't know where to put something, you make a wrong decision. So
mm,
the villain would look somehow like this. And just let me bring the example. You said you're the solution architect. I like it because yes, medium-sized businesses right now at the point where they think they need someone who is an IT host, so someone who checks the servers.
right.
Okay, so that's already very old, but most things are cloud, but they have them. But they never would think that who is actually in my business looking at technology, how we're using it, and how things
Mm,
are connected. And of
yeah.
course, the villain in every business, especially medium-sized business, it's a daily stress, right? Like there's like you are
Hmm.
just overwhelmed because it's too
Yeah.
much, and because you're overwhelmed, you're taking wrong decisions as you has no guide where to put something.
Yeah.
So that's the thing where I'm saying, like, even I can give you the best task manager, but if you're not properly trained, we're
Hmm.
not properly talked about your mindset of why you actually should use this task manager, what's the idea, what can you have and what can you save with it.
Mm,
If stress happens in your day-to-day life, you will jump on something and you again
right.
put it wherever you want and you do your own stuff and the system is not used
Right.
and it breaks, right? And so I think that's the villain in a way. It's just like this daily stress, which of course medium-sized businesses are struggling with. Like
Hmm.
they're in a different point than enterprises, and they need a different touch. They need a
Yeah.
different communication style. That's why also, of course, we focused for them. We're coming from this ourselves. We understand them, and we're also willing to do this communication
Yeah.
part to guide them through, right? Because in the end, it is mindset. It is something where you have to understand
Hmm.
that you also want it, and not everyone wants. That's fine, right? And you also are not the right one, but it doesn't mean that this is only technology. And
Right.
I mean, you get this probably the same as I do. We're having now the AI agents everywhere, and so much on LinkedIn, and customers like we have. And again, I mean, I'm talking now about, for example, Austria, German
Hmm.
speaking market. 95% of our businesses are medium-sized businesses, and they don't know what an AI agent is because they don't have the time to actually think about this, right? They,
Right.
they still struggle with a shortcut on the keyboard, for example. And
Hmm.
so it's a completely different way of working with them, and it's completely different challenges they're facing
Yeah.
when ultimately they actually the ones who need the AI agent to be competitive with some large organizations, right? That's the ones who actually should
Yeah.
have it to be more effective and be fast. But
Right.
you cannot start with them here, right? You need to tell them about it and saying, you want to go there? Like that could be the thing. Now we have a path to do. And this
Mm,
starts actually at something very boring like data,
yeah.
structuring your data, bringing
Yeah.
everything together. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how much are you involved in like the kind of the sales process? What is your sales process? Like, where do you get leads? And then what's the process of getting a lead into they're now a
So
client?
how we get leads is it's still an open book. I think we don't do anything crazy. We do LinkedIn, we do some outreach,
Yeah.
We try marketing and of course personal network that works for us. And it's a mix of all of this.
Yeah.
What we actually do of how to get the customer, and I think we learned a lot in the last year, and hopefully there's some meaningful input for some of the audiences. You need to actually put some effort in to explain. Like what we're doing is an custom offer every time.
Hmm.
Like you're building a
Yeah.
custom API. If not, you could build into any of these tools providers.
Hmm.
He will not be happy. But therefore, you also need to take some time and explain him, right? And this really means, of course, you can systemize and automate even your own
Hmm.
sales process. For
Yeah.
us, this means there is a conversation, and then you just really have to take an hour to process the information you got,
Yeah.
and then show him kind of a vision where you could go. And you need to
Mm.
do an effort. You cannot pull up, this is my offer, plan A, B, C, take it, because at least our customers, if they're like uninformed,
Hmm.
technical natives, so they're not used to technology in a way, they
Right.
don't speak the same language, they don't even know what they want,
Right.
then you need to just put a bit of more effort in to explain them where we're going. And of course, giving them mostly the trust of why this should happen.
Hmm.
And what is lead for us is something is like, it just goes step by step.
Okay.
So there's like not this one offer which you do everything at once. You need to take time. Like with low code, especially, I
Yeah.
think that's something for us. We could build things very fast. Like
Hmm.
in 2 weeks, you
Right.
can build most of department solutions for medium-sized businesses. But
Yeah.
in 2 weeks, the customer doesn't adapt it. And we had to learn
Mm.
this with our first customers when we built something. Oh, yes, we get the requirements, we build it. Amazing. We show you how fast we are, how amazing local
Yeah.
technology is, right? We can build so fast now. But then they don't start using, and then 4 months later they call and like, how do I use this button? What does this do? What's automation?
Hmm.
Having actually not adopted the solution. And so
Yeah.
this is something where then comes the business aspect. In is like, you can be a tech person. It's amazing that you know how to use local tools, AI tools, and build it. But you yourself, or you should have someone who is also good in working with people, and
Yes.
actually slowly understanding the rhythm they need to introduce a solution. And
Yeah.
that's
Okay.
something what the better we did that, of course, the better results got. And then the better I could also explain this in our sales process,
Mm.
which helped because that was actually what they wanted to hear. They didn't want to hear that I can do it super fast and all is amazing. They
Right.
wanted to hear that we can actually do this and we go with them this journey and being
Mm.
patient with them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this helped a lot in sales.
Yeah. I love that you said journey because oftentimes it can seem like just like do the job and get out. Like that maybe what it used to be.
Yeah.
But as we step into it becomes more of a relationship. And we are journeying with them kind of as their guide, but also like building with them. It also sounds like it takes a long time. And that can
Yeah.
be, I know as an early stage business owner, that can seem draining. And one of the things that I'm learning to use in my language now, because that can be very technical, is to
Yeah.
focus on the solutions that we can provide that they desire and that they want. So what is that like for you? So instead of saying like I can build a workflow, it's
Mhm.
I can give you 5 hours back a week by the end of the week. Would you want an extra five
Yeah.
hours this week? Like, what is the, like, as you think about that, what are some of the, like, how would you sell the results as opposed to the, like, pieces in the
It's
technology?
exactly what we said. We very much differentiate when we communicate something to the customer and when we do something internal.
Mm, yeah.
So practical example is really in our system. So we have our own Glide app to
Yeah.
actually work for delivering our solutions. And there is very clear when I write something for the customer, it has an own part, and this we translate basically to like a more technical description for us, so
Okay.
our experts can actually develop it.
Yeah.
But this is never the words and sentences the customer will see. He will see exactly what you said. You will say 5 hours with this, or even more simple, we walk through your process. So when I talk with you, hey, on Monday, you do some admin. How does this actually work? Okay, I do this, and this. How long does this
Mm,
take you? So of course, we're taking the time. I take some time myself, and then I come and say, could you imagine doing it like this? And this automation, I write like just telling him how it could look like
okay.
without technical words, just telling
Yeah.
him
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
we could solve it in a way. You would solve from 5 hours you need now, you probably would only need two if you do it
Mm,
that way.
Yeah.
And then I write it down as this for the requirement for him, so he understands what he will get also. So
Right.
he's very clear of like, okay, we talked about my 5 hour process admin on Monday. Uh,
Mm,
this is what I do there usually. They say they can do something now, some magic, and make it only 2 hours.
yeah.
Okay, I go, we translate this exactly in real requirements, of course, what we need to actually build it. Like, what
Right.
does this mean in data structure? What are the layers has to look
Yeah.
like? Some automations we need, all of this stuff. And then we shall present it. And he will never see our part. And we
Right.
did this wrong in the beginning. I had a presentation in May actually, where I showed this big diagram I had for our very
Uh-huh.
first customer.
Yeah.
He had a very long onboarding process, insurance broker, and we were building this very big diagram where even me, it took me 50 minutes to just go through.
Yeah.
And he was like, Alex, what is this? Like, I only want to send a link, and then after this link, the onboard, and then I get the confirmation when they're done. Like, it's very easy, right? Like that's what he wanted. And then at this point, I'm like, okay, I only can take his language, and he tells me
Mm,
what he needs. He wants to
yeah.
send a link, and it does something. I should not show him everything in between. If I can give him this result, perfect. And therefore, of course, we changed our whole communication in sales and in this whole
Nice.
onboarding process to exactly this. You tell me what you need. I tell you what this means as a result in your language, and we take care of the technical rest.
Yeah.
And this helped a lot. Um, and I think, yeah, made also a successful year so
Yeah.
far.
Yeah, that's great. I like using their language. That like can be so helpful. Because and even just asking for some clarity. I heard what was the phrase? We all have the same vocabulary, but we use a different dictionary. And like I
Mm,
might say workflow, I might say automation, and then they
yeah,
think they hear the words, but they define it in their own way. So even asking
yeah,
that clarity, like, oh, okay, you said such and such. Can you explain what that means? Because that does two things. One, that gives you more clarity on what they actually mean. And then two, that builds a lot of trust. Oh, yeah, like they listen, they hear me. And so as developers, and really anybody in the custom sales space, which is hard in general, I would say, it becomes more about a relationship than about on the front end. It starts with a relationship, and then it's trust.
Okay, so there we have part two. So the big idea, tools don't fix the mess, a simple plan does. In part three, Alex and I get super real about what happens next. How do you get people to use the new way without pushing or fighting or begging? How do you stop building things that nobody uses? If this helped you, hit the like. It helps YouTube share more with more people, and subscribe so you don't miss out on part three. If you want the full series, comment playlist and I'll give you the link to the full playlist, all three parts. See you in the next one.